That was trippy. Oh. This ain't a great start.
Same guy.
I mean, I don't want to be a bit douchey here, but like.
But did we figure out the problem, though?
We might have. All right, we're back into it. Well, maybe someone's split got messed up, but it should not have affected very much.
Yeah. Either way, we are now loaded in, so let's jump into it. It's gonna be on Eternal Empire. In the bottom left-hand side, as the red Zerg player, it is Denver.
In the top right has the blue Terran for Maus after all these years, and he's just gotten better and better. It is HeroMarine.
He looks pretty badass right now on the camera, like wearing all black and like with the ice reflection, the glasses, right? Like basically white. Looks like Denver stands no chance.
It looks like an anime like villain who's like
yeah, it does.
The glint off his eyes is the first like cut you get of him. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, it's gonna be really tough for Denver. I think Denver is in that position where, given enough time or give him like a good enough tournament, like he could explode onto the scene. I think some of our other Zergs that we assumed were top 4, so let's say, okay, obviously Cyril and Raynor, right? Let's get them out of the way. The rest of them, like Lambo and a Laser, I mean, they used to be the top dogs, and even they've been a little bit in flux. Like, Denver could push himself into the top 4, top 5 of Zergs, but he does seem to be lacking a little bit. I feel like overall he's a good player, and his macro is actually very, very good. So when he gets into a late game, he's pretty darn good. But, versus Protoss, he still has some struggles against the Adepts. Versus Terran, he doesn't quite have the crispness, I guess, that holds those mid-game pushes, which, again, we were expecting to see here. And as far as HeroMarine goes, he's actually doing everything very, very well. I can't really complain about what he's doing.
Yeah, Denver will get that drone out in time to get the third. So this looks like a pretty standard opening from him as well, and he's not gonna have any trouble in the early game. It looks like that. I think getting microed as soon as it could be. So, okay. Well, this could be bad.
Yeah, just mentality-wise, not losing a drone right off the bat is good.
Yeah. Yeah, this is as standard as it gets, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it is. I mean, HeroMarine is going for a 3rd CC, which maybe is a little less standard, you could argue, but honestly, at this point, I always say it is kind of standard. I feel like I've seen it enough times, as opposed to a 1-1-1, especially if you're not afraid of your opponent with something early on. Battle cruisers kind of came and went and then came back, and are kind of definitely a thing, but not so often, and maybe you feel better and safer with Banshees, but HeroMarine is just so confident in his game and his scouting that I don't think he really has to go for Banshees. If he went for Banshees, I would actually think it was more so that he thought he could get a lot of damage done. He could out-micro his opponent. But no, 3rd CC makes a lot of sense for the games HeroMarine's been playing across all the matchups these past couple of months.
Yeah, very interesting now on the side of Denver. He is getting Overlord speed, so he's very concerned about seeing what it is that HeroMarine is gonna have. HeroMarine will show 2 Hellions and a Reaper at the front, but that doesn't really tell him much about what's being produced from the starport, for instance.
Yeah, that kind of sucks though for Denver, doesn't it? Like that Overlord speed, it is nice to know things are standard, but is it 100-100 nice? I don't know. Yeah,
no, I mean, if things are super standard, then you would rather just save that money, right? Because you should anticipate standard if you're gonna anticipate anything. So the Overlord will get in, and yeah, it will die a slower death to the Viking, I guess.
Yeah. The Viking always still gets the kill, as long as it doesn't get pushed elsewhere. A Baneley Nest comes. Denver is playing surprisingly defensive against HeroMarine. Now, I literally was the person who said, like, oh, HeroMarine's known for his macro, but it's not like he can't do something else. But I would think that if you're going to take a risk, the risk would actually be to go super macro, not Overload speed and earlier Baneley Nest and later layer. So I already feel so good for HeroMarine, actually. It's 5 minutes, not much has happened. I already feel so good for the Terran.
Yeah, Denver is playing a little bit like Serral might play, right? Like from a very confident, comfortable position of I'm just gonna see everything that's coming, I'm gonna react perfectly, and that's gonna make up for the losses that I'm taking to see everything that's coming and to have that control and that information. But yeah, you kind of have to be the better player for that to pan out. And is it a thing that you want to do against HeroMarine? I'm not sure.
Yeah, the problem is he's not Serral. It's just a lot of, we say that a lot actually. There's a decent number of Hellions, so it is kind of scary for Denver. He doesn't want to just lose track of them because they will roast up his lanes and they can kill his drones with that many, especially with the control. HeroMarine has shown Liberator might pull him out of position. Drones are not being pulled away. Spore Crawler wasn't there. Queen was in the wrong place. A little unfortunate to lose 3 drones, and of course HeroMarine is microing. Also has a Viking to distract the queens. Just distractions everywhere.
Yeah, very nice done. So Kerrigan is pinging Denver everywhere, telling, hey, your forces are under attack here and there. At least we see in play that the Hellions are not going to have a very easy time. Oh, wow. Very easy time running by, I was going to say, as they kill so many links that now they can also run by. And HeroMarine now is doing damage on 2 fronts. The Liberator now finally gets taken down, but these Hellions are now roasting and roasting. 16 workers have done down 18. From a Denver that was already weak from cutting into his own economy to be safe.
Oh, that is so bad. Like, I kind of laughed at the Liberator because it literally moved just far away to not be hit. It didn't move a second to the left. Like, it was perfect. Yeah. So perfect. Denver thought he at least had a second, if not 2, to like readjust, need be. And in that second, he lost the drones, got distracted, and let the Hellions through. He also doesn't have too many links. Like, that might have been inevitable because the queens were paying attention. But that was a terrible start for Denver after an already reserved start. They've come into a very good position. He will be saving this hatchery. 1-1's not quite done. Okay, or not. Oh, jeez. Nice.
Yeah, and that is the type of move that separates players like HeroMarines from others, right? Like, they'll be looking at the little things and they'll be making the best out of them. So amazing job by him so far. You were talking about this 4th and how difficult it is to hold. HeroMarine is making a 4th himself, but I think it's fair to anticipate that this will be somewhat of a committed pressure.
The fact that he brings over the rest of his units in medevacs is just so. It's like it's cool, you know. Like it could have been a little bit slower, you know. And Denver has a couple more seconds. Instead, it's just here as fast as possible. Denver's gonna lose that 4th hatchery, and probably the creep afterwards. He's got nothing else really going for him, so he's gonna go for a run by. I mean, he's trying to break out of a box here, and I like that attempt. But there is a tank back at home as well as the rest of HeroMarine's army, which is a lot.
And Denver will be forced to GG. This was not even close. HeroMarine taking a 4th CC. There is just insult to injury, and I mean. You look at the efficiency that you're talking about. You look at the efficiency also in that army movement, how fast it takes advantage of that pocket where he sieges the tank and just snipes the 4th. It's what he came for. Ignores the creep completely. These are the moves that HeroMarine will create for himself that other players might miss. And maybe, you know, with those same amount of units, fighting the Zerg head on, the Zerg wins every time, especially with the creep spread, right? But HeroMarine just, making some magic happen there, so... Fantastic. People
might be kind of taking the opportunity to laugh at Denver. You know, like, lol, can't defend against the first push, can't defend against Hellions, whatever. Guys, this has been happening to every European player. Sans Serral and Raynor against HeroMarine. It's actually kind of crazy. We always knew HeroMarine is good, but his performances in the last couple of weeks have actually been that type of thing where it's like, okay, the Zerg, the Protoss, the other Terran should be fine, and then suddenly it just isn't. Like, and it's not even like it's super fancy. It's not like it's 6 Marines being independently microed. It's everything is just a little bit perfect, a little bit off, a little bit away from whatever it has to be away from, and then everything else is so much faster. He's playing at an incredible pace nowadays. I guess is a good way to sum it up. And he's losing very little units. And if he does lose them, it's because he exchanged them for something great, like 20 drones. I don't want to seem too biased, but I think it's too late for that, man. Like, HeroMarine has been playing some excellent Terran. I have a crush on his Terran play. That's what I have for sure.
It's quite impressive, that is for sure. And yeah, Denver, I mean, he has to play like the underdog if he's gonna stand a chance. You never want to see yourself as having no chance to win, but seeing yourself and identifying yourself as the underdog is sometimes something that you have to do, right? Because if you know from enough ladder games, if you play the guy straight up, or if you're careful, I imagine you don't win too often. So, you know, take some risks. Don't do the Overlord speed, or cut some corners, or do an all-in yourself, or something that makes, you know, for some offset in this balance that otherwise we'll have HeroMarine with a 2-0, I think, crushing.
Yeah. Well, I think that you have to stop taking those precautions and start taking greedy risks against the guy. Yeah. Some people would say you should maybe take an aggressive risk against HeroMarine. I'm not even sure that's true. I do think Denver has very good macro when he's allowed to do what he wants. So he just needs to get there at a really stable condition. So not losing 18 drones and not going for those defensive structures. It could be very different here on Ice and Chrome. In the top right, down 1, he is Denver.
In the bottom left, capitalizing on multiple mistakes and creating multiple opportunities for himself in that last short game, it is HeroMarine. Yeah, just a very impressive showing, even with the Hellion Rambai, right? Like, for example, what happened there was, it seems like Denver had 2 groups of links, and the first group of links were a little bit of position, they get caught, and that is enough for HeroMarine to say, okay, I just killed, like, you know, 6 Zerglings, you shouldn't have too many more, I can now run in my Hellions. So those are the kind of things where Denver is making small mistakes, but it's also to HeroMarine's credit to identify this is the opening that I'm looking for and the one I need, and making so much happen with so little, because let's not forget, he was macroing like a beast behind that. That was not any sort of all-in, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The additional 2 Hellions do offset a barracks, like literally just the 1 barracks, I believe, 200 minerals. So it is something that in a different situation is like, it wasn't really worth it. I think he kind of wishes he just took the 6, but it is more popular lately, it feels, and it has been getting rewards lately too. But especially because it is HeroMarine, who it does make Hellions look scary. They're not supposed to be, really. I mean, it was even kind of a joke, just making the Hellions just more defensive than it was at all offensive. But hey, now you have best control from these Terrans. You have creep tumors being light instead of armored, and yeah, those additional 2 Hellions really seem to pack just that extra little bit of a punch.
Yeah, they are very good at zoning out creep, and if Terran players had unlimited attention to spare, I think more Hellions would even be more common. At least when I see Terran Archons, for example, and they are confident that they can get all the juice that they can out of those Hellions, then, you know, they will go up to 8, sometimes 10 Hellions, just on the basis that they will always have attention to run away, because otherwise, you know, you get those caught and you've lost the game.
Mm-hmm. Well, HeroMarine being pretty feisty by going into the main base first. You know, we talk a lot about what Denver might be expecting out of HeroMarine, but I think HeroMarine might also be anticipating more macro from the Zerg. Oh! Survives. Why did I ever doubt it? Oh.
Bruce Willis.
God, the fact that it keeps, like, it's not even that important that it keeps the Reaper alive. I just can't believe it lived. Hellions now on the way. It is not a 3rd CC build, so we do have a mix-up. Now, I'm not sure I stick with it. Like, if he makes Banshees, it's because he thinks he can do damage with them. This might just be a Liberator stim. So still like a fairly fast 3rd CC. But he's actually not building a tech lab at all right now on the barracks.
Yeah, and we have Overlord speed once again on the side of Denver. So this is his go-to, this is his bread and butter, and this is what he's gonna do to try and get to his comfort zone. I imagine somewhere in the mid to late game. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't like it.
I guess in this case, it is going to find something a little more unique and a little more important. It's going to find a fusion core, not what I anticipated from HeroMarine, but I guess Ice and Chrome, okay, if I was going to guess something like this, battlecruisers and or mech, like, okay, Ice and Chrome would have been it. So HeroMarine is mixing things up. I think he might fake Cloak if it was a slow Overlord, but yeah, with a fast one, you just kind of gotta let this go, and that's fine.
Yeah,
already
Denver is
actually-
making 2 more queens. He's gonna want to start a third one right away. He's gonna have a total of 5 queens to start as a base when he scouts this. So I guess that's pretty good. Maybe he can get to something like 7, or I'm not sure how else he's gonna deal with this.
HeroMarine did start a Banshee and Cloak, so I guess he thought, maybe Denver's Overload wouldn't go all the way back, but it did, so they understand each other. There's a good number of queens for now, but maybe a few more.
Yeah. A lair also gets started. At some point soon, we're going to want to see some spores. The battlecruiser is now halfway completed. The first spore goes down. The links are enough here to deter the Hellions, and they are all together this time, but they actually engage onto a choke, and rightfully so. Nice job identifying such a difficult decision to make. I think even HeroMarine will be taken by surprise there with running links into a choke with 4 Hellions in them. Usually doesn't pan out well for me.
Even though Ice and Chrome is the mech map of this season, it feels, I generally did not expect HeroMarine to go for mech. So I guess he's still doing it, and he's still mixing things up. The Hellions do drive by to get maybe 5 drones. That last shot was pretty good. Not too shabby, but could have been much worse. Usually in combination with the battlecruiser, those Hellions are actually the scariest thing. So now that they're over and done with, full focus can be brought to the battlecruiser. Unfortunately, still a little late with those queens. 3 more drones go down, and an easy evacuation from the battlecruiser.
Yeah, also Denver choosing the right base to put 2 spores in the main, so he was, protected well for this battlecruiser follow-up. But yeah, I agree. If HeroMarine just waits a little bit longer, he can make it a little bit more difficult. I think on account of killing some of the Zerglings, he thought maybe he had an opening.
This is a little awkward.
Yeah.
The battlecruiser's on the way, but it is a very time-intensive unit. The Hellions don't want to be sacrificed because they know that some Lings could be here.
Hey.
They're finally going to get roasted. Some serious revenge from a handful of units. More SCVs are pulled into us. As HeroMarine also is supposed to try to bring his battlecruiser back, but it's so slow.
Yeah, and I think that's the kind of weird thing here for HeroMarine is I think he decides I'll wait for the battlecruiser. By the time the battlecruiser is out, everything will have been dealt with, but very inefficiently. So Denver is very much made up for any mistakes in the early game. I think he's in a comfortable position now. Nice defense as well.
17 SCDs is quite a lot. If it was 10, I'm like, nah, but 17, that is painful. HeroMarine is at least building 3 at a time right now. His 3rd disease on location. And what I was kind of like, no, wait a second, is at least Denver's Spire isn't that fast. He did control that engagement a little while longer past his lair finishing, so he could have gotten a faster Spire, only just recently started, and we're almost up to 3 battlecruisers already. So, I mean, timing-wise, the Terran doesn't really want to risk jumping 3 battlecruisers in to someone who could have 15 Corruptors, but even these 2 battlecruisers being paired up together have some opportunity to do something.
Yeah, definitely. They're gonna have to do the outskirts, especially because they first jumped into 2 spores. So if they were to jump somewhere else with 2 spores and the queens show up, that could be dangerous. With Yamato, they're gonna also gain some value. So they wanna just be careful. It looks like he's happy with clearing some creep. But yeah, I like Denver's position quite a bit. Mech, like you mentioned, is pretty awesome on this map because it is a very choky map, very easy to secure bases for the otherwise very immobile mech. So that's a cool choice as well. I look forward to this game development.
He had so many transfuses, but was missing them. I guess he didn't think the battlecruisers would actually engage. Now there's a 3rd battlecruiser on the way. Yamato is finishing. There's only 4 Corruptors here. This is a little scary. 1 battlecruiser's weak, but three Yamatos? That's all 3 queens dead.
Yeah, only 4 queens remain, and 3 of them are here. If they all get taken down, that's really, really bad for Denver moving on forward. At least he's already taken a 5th, so maybe it'll be kind of okay larva-wise. The BC still looking for the rest of their Yamatos, and I'm surprised that Denver kind of exposes the queens, and that's why. It's because Corruptors are popping out, so he wanted to bait those Yamatos, and Big Gabe not really falling. He has available? No. Wait, didn't he have 2 Yamatos there?
He did, yeah. He could have used
champ.
it. Not perfect. Come on here, Marine. That was a bit of a mistake, but I also respect that he didn't use them on the queens. As you were saying, Denver was hoping to bait him out. So it was also nice that he didn't get baited, but then he ended up using them anyway. So
yeah, then the Corruptor showed up and like, yeah, double booyah, right? Double booyah to Denver and to himself.
Fourth battlecruiser, you do usually see 3, and then maybe if the game goes on for a long time, maybe if you lose one of the battlecruisers, but to go up to actually 4 in total is a bit surprising. Got a couple of Cyclones and the Cyclone upgrade, but I really like the amount of tanks he has, actually. I think that is a little bit more fearsome, is like with the Corruptors only just showing themselves, like, oh, is he building a huge Roach army? It's not a big Roach army, but he did already invest in a 9 Ravagers. So now Denver is getting into the extreme economy. 5 bases, 85 drones, upgrades, and Hive on the way. Now he can afford whatever he wants.
Definitely. For the first time, also, HeroMarine has remade his Hellion count. We didn't talk too much about this earlier, but he was reset down to 2. And this has netted Denver a decent creep spread and space to do so. So it's nice, but also HeroMarine prioritizing rebuilding those Hellions now. Will cut into his potential factory production and whatnot, but finally he has some air, or some map control, rather.
I am afraid that Denver did not get enough Corruptors. I mean, even if it was only 3 battlecruisers, 7 Corruptors is kind of a scary amount, but it's actually 4. So that's one more Yamato as well. Okay, now we're down to 4 Corruptors and just 3 Queens. These battlecruisers are doing more bullying than they're supposed to.
Yeah, and 4 is really cool. I've often wondered why Terrans don't make more. A lot of it is, I think, how much supply gets tied into them, right? It kind of just takes so much of your supply that your army is a little bit weaker in contrast. But I like this. I mean, HeroMarine is snowballing off of a good advantage on the air, which is just about the only advantage that he has been able to find this game so far. So kind of applying pressure on the weak joints here.
Queen's going down, Corruptors going down, forcing more Corruptors too. Like, ideally for the Zerg, they make just enough Corruptors that it scares the battlecruisers. And the battlecruisers always have to, like, jump out immediately. In that case, Denver made not quite enough and then had to make more after they already died. So now he's, again, questioning, okay, how many Corruptors do I make? But, again, thankfully, he is on about 6 bases now with a ton of economy. So he can make some mistakes like that. We are going to be going into like full-on late-game ZVT, which Denver has recently gotten experience with. He did play Marine Lord on this map in a very similar game.
Yeah, Infestors in production. Lynx are about to get a whole lot stronger with that +3 and the Adrenal Glands upgrade as well coming in. Infestors could help with the Corruptors against the Battlecruisers, but not so much, right? Like they can hold them in place, but the Battlecruiser right now still wins that fight comfortably, and with Cyclone support, things could even get worse.
Yeah. Hellbats aren't going to quite grab this 5th hatch. Would have been nice, but oh well. I think more importantly, they might be distracting Denver as the HeroMarine is pushing through the middle. It's only a 1-1 army, so it's actually not the most impressive mech army to ever exist, but it is fully maxed out. It is the 4 battlecruisers kind of carrying a lot of weight there. And just good old HeroMarine macro behind it. Denver has an army. He's got Infestors. He's got to find a good angle on it as well.
Yeah, I do like Denver's army on the ground a lot against what HeroMarine has. It's going to be able to catch up to it. There's not that many tanks. The engagement is not going to be too costly. On the air is where I'm worried he's going to end up losing, but he's going to have time to rebuild. I think those 2 Hellbats, though, what an annoyance.
Getting 5 drones, forcing him to refocus. HeroMarine has actually got a lot of room to maneuver because the creep spread was never really too far out in this game.
Here we go.
Yeah, is he going to actually engage? It's going to be off creep, and he knows the battlecruisers are already going to be tough, and then on top of that, the Cyclones can get lock-ons.
Yeah, now the Hellion showing up will fend off the Lynx, but takes down 2 tanks. If he gets to that Cyclone core, he can easily wipe it out as well. So yeah, even though it's off creep, it's decent. It's a decent engagement for Denver altogether, I think.
1 battlecruiser did go down, just a little bit too late on the teleports, and that was all right before 2-2. So I'm not even sure HeroMarine really thought he would win a fight. It just seems a little less convincing with those upgrades as they were. Yeah, Cyclones don't take advantage with their spell on those upgrades, but it's still much nicer to have the 2-2. And HeroMarine is going to commit basically entirely now to Cyclones. He had like 5 or 6 tanks down to 1.
Interesting. Yeah. I'm not sure how much I like that personally, especially with Infestors being out. One criticism that I usually have for players going up against Cyclones in the pro level is not many of them seem to want to make an Infestor or 2. Denver prioritized making 4 of them. So these Cyclones have to be extremely careful, and they're kind of the type of unit that doesn't scale that well into the late game, that wants to be active out on the map, and that is just asking for those Infestors to land those fungals. That said, the Cyclones are kind of left off on their own at the top to deny that base again.
Denver doesn't quite know if there's tanks behind this.
Oh.
There isn't, though. Oh, no, the infestors! Don't fight! No.
Okay,
They lost a couple.
This is good for Denver. It's a great position for him to take. And now he has the position where the rest of the Cyclones have to come in and essentially get fungled. Unfortunately for him, he doesn't have too much left over. And on the air, once again, is where HeroMarine is taking his advantages. Okay, I thought he knew the math on that, because I certainly did not.
Yeah, he was going for the Spire, but he didn't actually kill it with even 3 Yamatos and couldn't stick around long enough comfortably to get the actual kill. He might return later. Even a couple of Hellbats could take that out, but they might have been better off back at home helping out. That said, it's only 8 STD losses, and another command center died, wasn't canceled, so there's that. But supplies look kind of even, and that was an extra command center on top of already extras, so it's not like it's too difficult to replace. Kind of a wash.
Yeah, and sadly for Denver, I mean, if we look at the army compositions, he was hoping to reinforce that location with the right call. They'll get there fastest, and he had already taken. He's again gonna take this position for free. Actually, this could be great for him still, as he continues to have that position, and now a much larger army to capitalize. 7 SCVs will go down. This is C in at some risk. Okay, he's gonna give up the position. I mean, there's no more fungal either.
Yeah. HeroMarine's doing a great job of not just letting a fungal hit all of his army. He is kind of splitting a little bit, anticipating the fungal, but he also has to anticipate the baneling, so it's working out all right for HeroMarine. He's also getting some more damage done, even just a little bit to withdraw Denver's army and break away his attention. It was always nice. HeroMarine did lose more SCVs, but he has kept his supply good, and his command center count is still up there. Even the top left has been taken, which Denver has not done much about killing, despite knowing about it.
Oh, these battle cruisers are the devil for Denver right now. Kills 25, 12, 19. That's a lot.
Yeah, this has been a constant nuisance. 6 Corruptors. I mean, they could try and come over here and take care of this, and that's exactly what they're doing. They've been scanned, not only them, but also wanted to see if infestors are trying to get a cheeky fungal or even a neural parasite. There's nothing else besides these Corruptors, and 6 was not enough. The Corruptors are going to go down. The Double Spire could be the next target, and Denver's army is in no place to really start getting damage done. They're about to collide in the middle, but can Denver really take that good of a fight?
I want to say no. At least he burrows, and HeroMarine perhaps not paying attention to the battlecruiser, so we'll get to save some of those drones. This is a weird game because compositionally, I actually like Denver's composition minus these 3 battlecruisers, which at this point should have been dealt with. I feel like a few times over, right?
Yeah.
Like, they have never been dealt with this game. At no point has Denver made enough units that he said, you know, I have enough that I'm going to crush this. Now, I kind of like this. 20 mutas in production. There is still some Corruptors. So the battlecruisers, the next time they show up, they're going to be forced to TP back, and the next time they're fought against will finally be potentially dealt with. But what I really like is that the mutas are actually really good against this type of Cyclone-based army. They will not be able to run away. They're similar to infestors in that sense, that they can catch up to it easily. And actually Denver, in spite of losing 23 workers, will end up cleaning a hefty bit of army.
Yeah, there's a lot of workers to lose. He's banking a little bit, but not a ton. And now HeroMarine knows how invested he is into those mutas. The Thors are not quite here. A lot of Cyclone lock-ons going down. Even Yamatos on top of the mutas as well. It's something we see every day, but I think it's just too many Cyclones.
Yeah, and unfortunately Denver also going after the battlecruisers is probably the worst target for the muta, the only target for the Corruptors. But the Cyclones are the ones that are actually killing the muta very fast, so they should have been the first target there. At the end there, he tries to reposition, but it's going to be a little bit too much. Unable to really get in and do any